Let's do a little thought experiment. Imagine it's the year 2026. Who is the absolute center of the financial universe right now? You might immediately think of Elon Musk or maybe Jensen Huang. But actually, the man the entire global investment world is obsessing over is Masayoshi Son. Now, this is a guy who was once literally the wealthiest person on the planet, and then he also managed to rack up some of the most jaw-dropping financial losses in corporate history. It's a wild ride. But in this explainer, we are going completely under the hood to decode his new absolute master plan. We're going to break down the massive investments, the hidden infrastructure plays, and really dig into how all of this is trickling down to create some pretty immense opportunities in the market right now.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the number we are dealing with here is, well, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. $500 billion. $500 billion. To really get why this is so crazy, let's just rewind a tiny bit to 2022, just a couple of years ago. The SoftBank Vision Fund was absolutely bleeding. I mean, they registered losses of over 5 trillion yen. That is roughly $30 billion. And looking at that, the broader market essentially wrote him off. Everyone was basically saying, okay, Masayoshi Son is finished. But somehow, here we are. And he has completely repositioned himself right at the dead center of the global stage. Why? Because of this historically unprecedented $500 billion AI investment master plan. To understand why he's throwing down chips of this magnitude, we really need to get inside his head and look at how he operates.
You see, the thing you have to understand is that Masayoshi Son didn't just casually jump onto the OpenAI bandwagon when it got trendy. Oh no. Long before the whole ChatGPT explosion, back when people thought artificial general intelligence was literally just science fiction, and honestly, most other investors were lacking it off, Son fully believed in Sam Altman's vision. And if you look at his historical track record, it actually makes total sense. Look at the timeline. In the 1990s, he made a massive bet on Yahoo. In the 2000s, it was Alibaba. Then in the 2010s, he bought ARM. And now, the 2020s, it's OpenAI. His entire investment philosophy boils down to one very specific thing: betting overwhelmingly huge amounts of money on futures that nobody else really believes in yet.
So this brings us to what is arguably the most critical question for you, me, or really any investor watching the AI space right now. When a paradigm shift of this absolute magnitude happens, who actually makes the real money? Who really profits? Is it the companies building the shiny consumer-facing software models, or is the real money quietly hiding somewhere else entirely?
To answer that, let's think back to the American gold rush for a second. The folks who consistently built massive fortunes back then, they weren't usually the ones out there in the mud digging for gold. No, they were the ones selling the pickaxes, selling the shovels, the jeans, the supplies. And the exact same dynamic is playing out right in front of us in AI. It's fascinating. On one side, we've got the AI gold miners, OpenAI, Google, Anthropic. And they are locked in this brutal, wildly unpredictable war for software dominance. But then, on the other side of the equation, we have the pickaxe sellers. These are the companies physically building the data centers, manufacturing the advanced semiconductors, and generating the sheer electrical power needed to run it all. And here is the kicker. No matter which software company ultimately wins the AI war, they all have to buy pickaxes. Every single one of them. And trust me, Masayoshi Son knows this perfectly well.
That, right there, is exactly what this massive $500 billion investment is really for. People tend to look at the headlines and mistakenly think Son is just dumping cash into OpenAI software. He's actually not. The real target is something called Project Stargate. This is quite literally the ultimate AI infrastructure play. You have to realize AI fundamentally eats electricity, it eats data centers, it eats GPUs, and it devours massive communication networks. Stargate is, for all intents and purposes, the highway construction project for the entire AI era. And historically speaking, the guy who owns the highway tolls is the guy who makes the absolute most money. Son is brilliantly positioning himself to be the undisputed infrastructure king of the AI age.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact macroeconomic flow of how his vision is translating into hard market reality. We start right at the top, right? You've got Masayoshi Son and his immense capital pool officially backing OpenAI. That specific partnership gives birth to the Stargate Infrastructure Initiative. Now, building Stargate requires an almost unbelievable amount of physical hardware and deep, base-level infrastructure. And where does all that massive demand inevitably trickle down to? Directly into Japanese equities. It's a straight line, because Japan happens to be home to some of the most incredibly critical, highly specialized manufacturing and infrastructure companies on the entire planet.
Right, so if all this global capital is flowing downstream from this absolute massive $500 billion Stargate project, where exactly is the money going next? If you're looking for opportunities, which specific sectors and which specific companies in Japan are uniquely positioned to catch this tidal wave of infrastructure spending?
Let's break down the primary beneficiaries here. If we look at the core infrastructure needs of this AI revolution, we can neatly categorize the primary Japanese market targets into a couple of key sectors. First up, you have semiconductors. This is driven by heavy hitters like Advantest, Tokyo Electron, and Lasertech. These guys handle everything from the actual manufacturing equipment all the way to insanely complex EUV testing. Then, right next to that, we have the communications sector. Here we're looking at companies like Fujikura and Furukawa Electric, and they are basically the physical lifeline providing optical fibers. So let's actually look a little closer at that semiconductor side first.
The surge we're seeing in semiconductors is basically a direct chain reaction. Take Advantest, for example. As long as the broader AI market keeps expanding, the need to rigorously, continuously test these advanced GPUs expands right along with it. So essentially, as NVIDIA grows, Advantest is growing right there in the shadows behind them. Then you've got Tokyo Electron. They provide world-class manufacturing equipment. The logic here is super simple. AI demand skyrockets, so major manufacturers like TSMC are forced to increase production, which ultimately means they literally have to buy more equipment from Tokyo Electron. And finally, you have Lasertech. They handle EUV mask inspections. This is the extreme ultraviolet technology that is absolutely required to print the most microscopic, cutting-edge chips in the world. It's a perfectly linked ecosystem.
But here's the thing. Having the fastest chips in the world isn't actually enough on its own. Once you get these massive, sprawling AI data centers up and running, the sheer volume of communication and data transfer happening between them just increases exponentially. And that requires physical, high-capacity pathways. Think of it as the data center lifeline. This is where companies like Fujikura and Furukawa Electric come in. They provide the vital optical fiber networks that literally allow these massive data centers to talk to each other without bottlenecking. And because this physical infrastructural need is so absolutely massive, we are already seeing some very significant influxes of foreign investment directly targeting these specific optical communication companies.
So we've covered the ultra-high-tech chips, and we've talked about the blazing fast fiber optics. Both are essential. But what if I told you that if we dig down to the absolute bedrock of the entire AI revolution, the true favorite to benefit from this massive macro trend is actually somewhere else entirely? It's something so much more fundamental.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer simplicity of the bottleneck, the ultimate pickaxe for the entire AI gold rush. It's power. Electricity. AI data centers are almost incomprehensibly power hungry. We are talking about consuming massive, unprecedented amounts of electricity just to run the continuous cooling systems and process those incredibly heavy compute loads. Let's be real, without a constant, massive stream of power, that $500 billion Stargate project, all those beautiful optical fibers, and every single one of those advanced GPUs, they are completely, 100% useless.
It's a simple, undeniable math equation. The more OpenAI and the broader AI ecosystem grows, the more power is required. Period. It is a direct one-to-one correlation. And when you apply that to the Japanese market, this points directly, and I mean directly, to the major utility companies. We're talking about players like Tokyo Electric Power, or TEPCO, Kansai Electric Power, and Chubu Electric Power. Because AI is clearly not just some passing, short-term fad, the endless compounding energy consumption required to sustain it makes the power sector an incredibly powerful long-term investment theme. Truly, this is the absolute bedrock foundation of Son's entire infrastructure master plan.
So to kind of wrap all this up and sum it all together, in the AI gold rush, the one who builds the roads and sells the power takes the crown. Masayoshi Son is not out there trying to build the next flashy AI app that you download on your phone. He's out there buying up and building the toll roads. Sure, he has survived some major, highly publicized falls before, from the dot-com burst way back when to those massive vision fund losses we talked about. But his bets on core infrastructure have consistently redefined the future. If this $500 billion bet pays off, a massive structural wave of capital is going to wash straight over these infrastructure and Japanese equity sectors. The pickaxe strategy is crystal clear. So based on what we've unpacked in this explainer, what is your target? Let me know down in the comments which part of the infrastructure stack you personally think is the strongest play. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more focused explainers on the major forces shaping our future, and definitely check out our related explainers on screen right now. See you next time.